So I taught today and I reviewed the themes to a teacher, and I reviewed the themes that have been prevalent in my most recent batch of teaching on a trip. And I taught the inner thigh engagement that completes the grip of the hip with the specific language technique of squeeze the brick to cause the exhale. That lays in the sequentiality of engaging the core as a grip in order to cause the air. And then in terms of air, when you come up, requires that you remain in your effort until the need to breathe in shows up, and that you control your release to that need to breathe in to truly come from an eccentric place, which would be your will to survive, and that will and the autonomic nervous system expresses itself as the need to breathe in, and I'm saying as a technique that you don't have to use if you don't want to, and perhaps I'm just too lazy not to, but to lean into your exhale to the point where the inhale becomes more organic and you allow yourself to ride that necessitated inhale. You get a very strong dynamic movement in your body that's built on willfully exhaling beyond the end of the air into the effort, and listening for and responding in timing with the need to breathe in to move out from there, to ride on the inhale. And beneath all of that, or around all of that, was teaching through sensation. You have two different, am I touching you? Yes or no? And a person, once they sort of understand it's a simple question, and then you say, am I touching you? And you are touching them, and they say yes. And then you say, okay, now what that means is spiritual, but the touching of you is just spirit. It's just the awareness of your sensation. Say whatever you want. Michael Miller Pilates looks at spirit this particular way, through the eyes of the quantum physicist, through the eyes of acknowledging that the observer exists, and that it somehow exists a priori to thinking. Now, if you just want to stay within the brain and not admit that spirit exists outside of the realm of thinking, and you need to think that spirit exists within the realm of thinking or it doesn't exist at all, then think of spirit as being your amygdala, where that's the part of your brain that is the first responder to sensation, and that the higher function of the brain thinking can get off into its own cloud of thinking and ignore the input from the amygdala or from the observer, the listener, the witness, whatever realm that has to take for you, whether it's from within the brain or outside of the brain. Spirit is the observer, that ability to discern your sensation. And that the way I try to teach is through allowing the student, if I'm teaching the student, if I'm instructing the performer, the sequence of exercises that Joseph Pilates put together, assembled, figured out, revealed really, because instead of idly worshiping him as a genius, where he came up with something out of nothing that everyone appreciates, I look at him more as the sculptor who, in projecting his pattern of movement, his frequency in that pattern of movement, that his exercises reveal fundamental nature of what we find ourselves in, and that's gravity, and having to move through it and survive it in order to do whatever else we're going to do, and to make whatever meaning out of whatever else we're going to make out of our existence in this world, and physical presence, and to the extent that we're interested in how we spend our time to condition our body to meet with the everyday challenges of life. That's paraphrasing Joe. For me, which seems to be the popular expression, for me, doing Pilates is a fundamental acknowledgement, like a salute, to the reality that I find myself in, namely in a gravity field as an organic creature, as a water balloon struggling to move through air. For me, Pilates is about physics, and understanding why. And understanding why, it does give you an edge on survival. And when you understand why Pilates is set up the way it is, it gives you a better edge in teaching better Pilates. And when it comes right down to it, Pilates is survival training. And it's about survival training in a gravity jungle. I have sign language for all of this, and I've been taken to task for foolishness in that regard, but all of that assumes you speak English. But gravity, force is the issue of alignment, and alignment is sensational via tension, and it takes 2 points to trigger fluorescence. Taken to task for that too. Fluorescence is uniform engagement of the body. And that's imperative in Pilates because Joseph promised contrology would produce a uniformly developed body. Michael Miller says that that matters because uniform development in a uniform gravity field minimizes the stress of gravity on our system and maximizes our longevity and likelihood of survival. I hadn't thought of that really. Survival is more than just the dinosaur coming for you in the moment, but your longevity is an issue of survival. Just looking at the sequence of movements in the Pilates method, Joe's book, and I use a few more because they fit within the context of the original 34, but just Joe's. In there you see patterns of movement, flexion, extension, side bending, rotation and torsion. This is rotation. This is torsion. Torsion. And our body is one big water balloon that works as a breathing machine, sucking energy right out of the air and pumping it through the body. I guess total photosynthesis would be nice, but we also eat food. We also drink water to keep the water balloon working, and drink food to keep the water balloon working. I taught recently a teacher that was I was getting the feeling that she wanted to know more about pre-Pilates. How do you get someone to the point where they can start doing the regular exercises of Pilates? And I don't really appreciate how well developed my point of view is in my own head until I work with someone else and see the absence of that point of view in their head. And for me, the point of view I come from is that there is an idea within those 34 exercises of Joe and his definition and his promise.